Have you ever wondered why the moment you step back, she suddenly starts noticing you again? The truth is, there's a psychology behind it, one that makes her rethink everything she felt before. Stay with me because by the end of this, you'll understand why giving space can make her heart return to you in ways you never imagined. Have you ever noticed how absence has this quiet, almost invisible power? When you step back and give her space, it's not just a physical distance. It creates a kind of emotional pause, a moment where she can no longer take your presence for granted. In the chaos of daily life, when someone is always around, it's easy for their value to fade into the background. Your laughter, your support, the way you understood her without her even saying a word, these things often become invisible simply because they are always there. But when that constant presence disappears, suddenly the small things start to echo loudly in her mind. She remembers the way you used to make her smile in moments no one else noticed, the way your voice had a calmness to it, even when the world was falling apart around her, and the way your eyes seemed to understand the unspoken words she carried inside her. Every little gesture, every moment that may have seemed ordinary before now becomes extraordinary because there is a gap that only you can fill. This is the subtle magic of giving space. It allows her to experience the vacuum you leave behind and recognize that your absence is not just emptiness, it's the absence of someone irreplaceable. It's fascinating how the human mind works when it comes to emotions. When we are used to constant interaction, it's easy to overlook the depth of what we have. But when distance is introduced, suddenly memories start resurfacing, and feelings that may have been buried under routine and familiarity begin to reawaken. She starts recalling moments she laughed uncontrollably with you, moments when she felt safe to be her true self. Moments when just a simple glance from you could make her entire day brighter. These reflections aren't forced. They come naturally because the gap you created gives her the mental space to revisit these experiences without the noise of daily life. The absence acts like a mirror, showing her the importance of the connection she once had, the comfort she once relied on, and the warmth that only you brought into her life. Distance also has a way of making emotions sharper. When someone is always available, their presence blends into the background, almost like furniture in a room. It's there, but you stop noticing it. But when that person is gone, even briefly, the realization hits. Life feels slightly less vibrant, slightly less complete, slightly quieter. She begins to feel that missing piece in her everyday routine, that subtle void that only you filled. She may catch herself smiling at memories, or suddenly longing for a conversation she never realized she cherished, or even feeling a pang of regret for moments she might have taken for granted. The mind starts to replay little details. The way your hand brushed hers accidentally, the way your voice could calm her on her worst days, the little jokes that only the two of you shared. It is in this absence that she notices what she truly values, the laughter, the comfort, the unique connection that cannot be replaced by anyone else. When you give her distance, it's not just your absence she notices. It's the quiet space that forces her to look inward and confront her own emotions. In the daily whirlwind of life, feelings can often get buried under routine, distractions, and unspoken expectations. She may have felt affection, attachment, or even love before, but when everything is constant, it's easy to take these emotions for granted or suppress them because there's no pause to fully experience them. Distance acts like a mirror for her heart. Suddenly, there's time to think without interference, to examine her desires without distraction, and to truly evaluate what she feels about you. She may begin to notice subtle longings she ignored before, little sparks of emotion that she hadn't allowed herself to acknowledge in the chaos of constant interaction. It's fascinating how a short period apart can awaken feelings she didn't even know were waiting beneath the surface, and this reflection often opens the door to a deeper understanding of her own heart. The mind has a way of filling silence with thought, and her heart has a way of seeking what it values most. During this pause, she might start asking herself questions she never dared to ask before. She might wonder why she felt drawn to you, why your presence made ordinary days feel special, or why, in the absence of your voice and attention, a sense of emptiness creeps in. She reflects on your actions, your gestures, your kindness, and your patience, and suddenly every little thing she overlooked before seems monumental. In her quiet moments, she replays conversations, recalls your laughter, and examines the warmth you brought into her life. This reflection isn't superficial, it's deeply emotional. She begins to connect dots, understanding patterns in her own heart, and realizing that her feelings for you were never casual. Every memory becomes a lens through which she measures her attachment, and distance allows her the clarity to see that bond in a way constant presence never could. This reflection also comes with a sense of realization. When someone is always available, emotions can feel ordinary, almost as if they are just part of the background. But when she experiences the gap left by your absence, she begins to notice what really matters. The reflection makes her recognize the depth of her feelings, the comfort of your presence, and the unique connection that she cannot replicate with anyone else. She starts to understand that her emotions weren't fleeting or superficial, they were real, significant, and deeply personal. She may even feel a subtle shift in her perspective, realizing that she didn't fully appreciate you when you were close, and that perhaps she needs to confront these emotions before moving forward. The beauty of this reflection is that it is entirely self-motivated. She isn't being pushed or forced. She is organically revisiting her emotions because your distance has created the space for her heart to breathe. She begins to understand herself better. Her attachment to you becomes clearer, and slowly, subtly, she starts feeling drawn toward the connection she almost lost. In this reflective space, every thought about you carries more weight, and the realization of what you truly mean to her begins to take root. When you give her space, something subtle yet powerful begins to happen. She starts noticing your value in ways she never did before. It's easy to underestimate how much someone means to us when they are constantly present, because familiarity has a way of hiding significance. Your kindness, patience, loyalty, and the unique way you show love can be overlooked in the noise of everyday interactions. But the moment distance is introduced, all of these qualities, once taken for granted, begin to shine in her mind. She starts remembering the way you listened when she needed to speak, the way your gestures, no matter how small, made her feel seen, understood, and cared for. Distance acts like a magnifying glass, highlighting the little things that made you irreplaceable. It's not just your physical presence she misses. It's the essence of who you are and how that presence made her life better, easier, or happier. There's a natural human tendency to overlook the familiar, to assume that the people in our lives will always be there and that their value is obvious. But absence has a way of correcting this oversight. When she experiences life without your presence, she starts to realize what she's been missing. She notices your patience when she was impatient, your calm when she was anxious, and the way you never made her feel like a burden. Every small act that she once brushed aside as normal now feels monumental because the contrast of your absence makes it clear how rare and meaningful those actions were. In those quiet moments, she begins to see not just what you did, but who you are. A person of substance, integrity, and emotional depth. Someone whose presence adds a kind of stability and warmth she cannot find anywhere else. The process of recognizing your value often comes with self-reflection. She may ask herself why she never appreciated certain aspects of you before, or why she didn't realize the emotional security you provided. Distance gives her the clarity to evaluate not only your actions, but also the impact you had on her life. She begins to see patterns she ignored before, the consistency of your support, the way you made her feel comfortable in vulnerability, and the patience you showed even when she tested boundaries. Each memory reinforces the idea that what you offered was rare, and in your absence, it becomes evident that replacing that kind of connection is impossible. This recognition isn't just about nostalgia, it's about understanding the true worth of someone who genuinely cared. The gap you create gives her the chance to measure your importance objectively. She starts to compare the emptiness she feels without you to the fullness you once brought into her life. The laughter, the emotional support, the feeling of being truly understood, all of these start to stand out as essential, and she begins to realize that she doesn't just miss you physically, she misses the value you added to her life emotionally and mentally. Every interaction you had, every little effort you made, now takes on a significance she couldn't appreciate before, and in that space, your value becomes undeniable in her eyes. When distance enters the picture, something unexpected begins to stir within her, a quiet excitement, a flutter that she may not even consciously recognize at first. There's a natural human attraction to mystery, to the unknown, and when you step back, you create a subtle tension that she can't ignore. When someone is always available, always predictable, and always within reach, their presence can start to feel ordinary, almost taken for granted. But when that availability disappears, even for a little while, it awakens something deep inside her, an emotional curiosity, a desire to reach out, and a need to understand where she stands. That uncertainty, though it may feel uncomfortable at first, is actually a powerful catalyst for reflection and longing. She begins to wonder what you're doing, how you're feeling, and whether you're thinking of her in the same way. This small emotional tension triggers a natural pull toward the connection she once had, because human hearts are instinctively drawn to what they can't fully grasp. The thrill of uncertainty doesn't just make her curious, it heightens her emotional awareness. When she knows you're not constantly available, she starts to evaluate her own feelings more seriously. The gap you create encourages her to look at the relationship from a different perspective, to notice nuances she may have overlooked, and to reflect on how much she values your presence. Suddenly, the little gestures, the conversations, and even the silence you shared take on new meaning. The uncertainty adds intensity to her emotions because it removes the comfort of predictability. She can no longer take for granted the connection you once shared, and that makes her feel both anxious and excited at the same time. It's a paradoxical feeling, but it's also a deeply human one. When something feels slightly out of reach, it becomes more precious, more desirable, and more impossible to ignore. This thrill is subtle, but it works on an emotional level that is hard to resist. She may catch herself thinking about past moments more frequently, replaying small interactions in her mind, and analyzing every detail of your connection. She might notice how much she misses the way you listened, how your presence calmed her, or how your words once made her feel special. In the absence of constant reassurance, every memory and emotion becomes amplified, and she starts to realize that the feeling she experiences isn't just nostalgia. It's the longing for the emotional depth and connection that only you provided. The uncertainty triggers reflection, desire, and emotional intensity all at once, and this combination can be incredibly powerful in making her reconsider her distance. Distance, paired with unpredictability, creates an emotional tension that she can't ignore. She begins to feel the subtle push and pull of attraction, the invisible thread that connects her heart to yours even when you're not physically present. That uncertainty awakens curiosity, desire, and reflection all at the same time, and it's within this space that she starts to feel drawn back. Every unanswered question, every unexplored emotion, every unspoken thought becomes a gentle reminder of the connection she may have underestimated before, and it subtly nudges her toward realizing that the bond you share is unique, rare, and worth reconsidering. One of the most powerful effects of giving her distance is that it forces her to confront the reality of what she lost when you weren't right there. Often, when someone is always present, their significance is blurred by familiarity. We humans have this tendency to overlook the people who are constants in our lives, the ones who show up without fail, who invest their energy without seeking attention, who quietly support us through highs and lows. While she was with you, she might not have noticed how rare it is to find someone who truly understands, who listens without judgment, and who makes her feel like she belongs. But the moment you create space, the absence acts like a spotlight, illuminating everything that went unappreciated. She begins to realize that the comfort, stability, and emotional intimacy you offered weren't things she could easily find elsewhere. That's when the weight of what she took for granted begins to sink in, and it has a way of stirring both regret and longing. Distance allows her mind to replay moments she previously dismissed. She might remember the small sacrifices you made, how you adjusted your schedule to be there when she needed support, the effort you put into making her feel special, the patience you showed when she was moody or indecisive. Suddenly, those little gestures, once background noise in the rhythm of everyday life, gain significance. She starts to see patterns she overlooked before, like how consistent you were even when she tested boundaries, or how your attention to her feelings was never conditional. It's not about grand gestures, though she may recall those too. It's about the way you made her feel understood, valued, and seen in ways that few people ever do. Distance gives her a clear lens to assess these things objectively without the distraction of daily interactions clouding her perspective. This recognition also triggers introspection. She begins to question why she didn't appreciate you more when you were right there, why she assumed your support and presence were guarantees, and why she didn't see the depth of your loyalty and care. That realization can feel intense because it's tied to both gratitude and guilt. Gratitude for the connection you provided, and guilt for taking it for granted. She starts to understand that what she had with you wasn't ordinary, that it wasn't replaceable, and that she may have underestimated how much she truly values that kind of presence in her life. Every memory, every laugh, every moment of support starts to weigh more heavily because the contrast between your absence and your constant care becomes impossible to ignore. In many ways, this recognition is transformative. It shifts her perspective from casual appreciation to a deep understanding of your worth. The things she once overlooked, the stability, the trust, the emotional depth, now appear essential. She realizes that your role in her life was not just about companionship, but about connection on a level that is rare and profound. The absence allows her to measure the true weight of what she had, and with that understanding comes a natural pull toward wanting it back. Her heart begins to remember the warmth, the security, and the consistency you brought, and she begins to recognize that losing it, even temporarily, has left a noticeable void in her life. When you give her distance, something profound often begins to surface, her desire for emotional security. In the whirlwind of daily life, people sometimes underestimate how much emotional safety matters, especially in relationships. She may have felt a sense of stability with you before, but when your presence is constant, it can be easy for her to take it for granted, assuming it will always be there. When you step back, however, that subtle foundation she relied on starts to shift, and she becomes aware of the sense of security you provided without her ever realizing its importance. Emotional security isn't just about being physically present. It's about consistency, understanding, support, and the ability to feel safe expressing herself without fear of judgment. The distance you create allows her to recognize the rare and comforting environment you offered, and she begins to long for it in ways she may not have consciously acknowledged before. During your absence, she starts to notice the little things she once assumed were ordinary, how you never dismissed her feelings, how your words reassured her during moments of doubt, and how your presence, even in silence, made her feel grounded. Emotional security is subtle. It's woven into the way you communicate, the way you listen, and the way you create a safe space for her emotions. When it's absent, its importance becomes glaringly clear. She begins to reflect on how much she relied on that quiet assurance you provided, and how losing it, even temporarily, makes her feel a void she cannot easily fill. This realization often brings a wave of longing because emotional security isn't something easily replaced or replicated. It's something she associates deeply with you. Distance also allows her to compare the emotional stability you offered with the uncertainty she experiences without it. She begins to feel the contrast more sharply, noticing how conversations feel less meaningful without your presence, how moments of vulnerability feel heavier without someone who truly understands, and how everyday stresses seem harder to bear without the reassurance you once provided effortlessly. Your absence highlights the emotional anchor you were in her life, making her reflect on the unique way you made her feel safe, understood, and valued. Every little moment she remembers, the times you comforted her, the patience you showed, the reliability you displayed, begins to build a compelling picture in her mind of why that connection mattered so much. This longing for emotional security often drives reflection on deeper levels. She may ask herself why she didn't fully appreciate the stability you gave her, why she assumed it would always be there, and how much she truly misses it now. The gap you create provides a mental and emotional space for her to acknowledge that what she had wasn't just companionship, it was a rare, safe, and supportive connection. Emotional security isn't something easily replaced by anyone else, and in its absence, she begins to feel the weight of that reality. She starts to recognize that what she truly values in a relationship goes beyond surface-level attraction or fleeting moments of fun. It's the ability to feel grounded, understood, and emotionally supported, and she begins to see that those qualities were present in you in a way that few people can provide. Distance, paradoxically, strengthens her appreciation for the emotional foundation you built. The longing she feels isn't just for your presence, it's for the sense of safety, reliability, and understanding that only you brought. Her heart begins to notice the gap between what she has now and what she once had, and in that awareness, the desire for emotional security draws her closer in thought, reflection, and eventually in her heart.